And we're going to win the state of, you know what we're going to win. We're going to win the state so easily. We're going to win the state of Michigan so easily. We want to do it just like last time, but let's give me a little bit more margin than that, if you don't mind.
That was President Trump last night in Grand Rapids, Michigan, predicting what he thought would be an easy win in the state, despite nearly every poll telling a different story. He won Michigan, you'll remember, in 2016 by fewer than 11,000 votes. Joining us now, the Democratic governor of Michigan, Gretchen Whitmer. Governor, good morning. Openly pandering this morning to Room Raider over your left shoulder with that throw pillow. I see what you're doing there. It's a little needy there with that pillow. So let's focus on the issues, all right?
A friend of mine said that to me, and I thought I would acknowledge it.
All right, so Governor, let's talk about what we're going to see in Michigan tonight, because it is one of the states that I think people watching this national picture unfold tonight are going to wonder how soon they might know something because of when you begin to count that early vote. So how exactly, for our viewers, does it work in Michigan? How will those votes be counted?
Well, first, I think it's really important to acknowledge the vote is not final until the votes are final. And our Secretary of State has been saying that this is going to take a little while. We just had a primary in August. We had 1.6 million votes cast by absentee ballot. It took 40 hours to count those. We're having at least, twice that number in absentee ballots. So we're preparing that this may take a few days. And that's why we are encouraging voters today to be patient as you go to the polls. There are lines already. We've been open for about 50 minutes at this juncture, and we have lines at the polls. We also know that in Michigan, you should wear layers and bring your mask and your ID, and that's what we're reminding people. But we need to extend some grace to these incredible people that are working at the polls and helping us make sure that we live up to the values of this democracy and get these votes in and counted right. But we also need some patience, too, as those ballots are being counted.
Amen to that. Those poll workers across the country have been incredible. So do you expect tonight, Governor, that we will have a result out of the state of Michigan based on what you know?
Here's what we're telling people, Willie. This could take a few days. Our hope, of course, is that we see a result that we feel comfortable sharing quickly, but it's most important that we get it right. So I'm not going to predict that we have a final tally tonight or even tomorrow, but we are going to move swiftly, but we're going to get it right, and that's paramount.
Governor Claire McCaskill's here with a question for you. Claire?
Good morning, Governor. I've been really scratching my head over some of the late communication from the Trump campaign. And I noticed in Michigan, I think we forget about local news coverage. And I'm curious, what has the local news coverage been around the fight to allow guns in the polls? This seems to me to be a really dumb thing to be focused on if you're trying to get the votes of suburban women in Michigan. Could you talk about this fight to allow guns in the polls like those guns that we all saw at the state capitol some months ago?
Yeah, well, Claire, you'll not be surprised. I don't get a chance to watch the news that much because I've been out and about trying to make sure that people are prepared and that we are getting out the vote. I will say this. We have laws on the books that criminalize intimidation of people who go to the polls, and it's a felony in Michigan, and we take it seriously, and it will not be tolerated. So regardless of this Supreme Court not weighing in on the question of open carry at the polls, we have got laws that are intended to keep our voters safe and so that we can all have confidence in the outcome of this election, and we're going to enforce those laws.
Governor Gene Robinson's got a question for you. Gene?
Governor Whitmer, President Trump's theory of winning Michigan seems to be to squeeze yet more votes, new votes, out of the Grand Rapids area, the northern part of the state, the Upper Peninsula, where there aren't all that many people, but a lot of them might be Trump supporters. Do you have any indications of whether that's bearing any fruit, whether there are new voters who didn't vote last time up there who could counteract an expected increase in turnout in Democratic areas like Detroit?
Well, a lot of the growth that we have seen in new voters are coming from our urban centers, and I think that's really exciting. Also, younger voters as well. When Donald Trump won Michigan in 2016, it was by less than 11,000 votes. And just 2 years later, I won by more than 400,000 votes. I think Michiganders are good, hardworking people. They expect their government to be as good, if not better, and even more hardworking than we are. We know that COVID-19 is the dinner table issue of 2020. We know that the Trump virus response has meant that 230,000 Americans have lost their lives, tens of millions are unemployed or have been unemployed at some point during this pandemic. People are in food lines who never imagined that they would have to be. And so this is the dinner table issue of this moment. And that's why these closing arguments where you have Trump rallies that are chanting things like lock her up or fire Fauci or something about LeBron James contrast in such stark difference to the Biden campaigns where it is about unity. It is about an American president who is a president for all people, whether not just the people who agree with them. And I think this is a moment where we need a president who can bring us together, get our arms around COVID-19, get us back to work, our kids safely back in school. And it's going to take a real change in leadership, and that's what Joe Biden offers.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.